All right.
All right, I'm recording now, so
All right.
let's just start. Let's just start
Let's
again.
let's start from the top here. All right. Hello and welcome to Who Dudes, a Doctor Who podcast. You are with your host. That's me. My name is Connor Mack, and I am here with my best buddy and fellow Doctor Who fan, Mr. Joshua O'Connor.
Yo,
Josh, how are you doing today? Are you you're ready to talk about some Doctor Who?
mostly, yeah. It's been a fairly decent day. The weather's been great here today.
Yeah,
Like
I
I took Nova out after work, and it's like this is like the perfect kind of weather.
yeah, no, I got the window cracked open. I'm feeling good. Um,
I closed mine just because you were complaining about noise last time we podcast, so I
yes.
wanted to make sure to cut it down as much as possible.
Yeah, so I it's I appreciate the sacrifice you made for this podcast.
Well, the
Um
rest of the house is open, so
well, there you go. You're letting some air in. So yeah, this is this is Who Dudes, the name we just chose about 5 seconds ago. Um,
minutes.
oh yeah, maybe a few minutes ago. Josh and I, we are what you can call us longtime Doctor Who fans. We go back a little bit. So before we dive into the new
Yeah, it's been about a
episode,
decade or two, or a little over
yeah,
a decade.
yeah, Josh, give me a brief rundown on and I mean just how much you remember, because it's memory is a funny thing, as we know, and
Yeah.
it's been a while.
So
What
no,
what do you think?
I do actually remember. Think I remember pretty well. My first exposure to Doctor Who was when I was in robotics club in high school because there were a couple other Whovians who were all freaking out about. I think it was Matt Smith starting to take over the role.
Uh,
Or it was during the his second season or something like that. And I was just trying to get over the fact that the face was different from what I had previously maybe have seen because I did not understand what regeneration was at the time, or that the actors would just switch out every couple of years. So that was kind of like, okay, that's a major sci-fi franchise that I just have not gotten around to. I was in the middle of watching all of Star Trek at the time, so I didn't have much room between that and my school career to jump into Doctor Who. But that changed when I went to college, and I suddenly had a lot more free time. So I went to Netflix and started watching season one or series one
Series one.
of the new Doctor Who, which was uh, totally blanking on the actor's name, but nine.
Christopher Eccleston.
That's it. Okay, yes, Christopher Eccleston. And then by the time I got to the end of that season, I had the same sense of completionism that got me watching all of Star Trek a couple of years earlier, and went back and found as much of the original Classic Who episodes that I could, and started watching all the television of the original series, starting from An Unearthly Child. And that took me a couple of years to get through. There was definitely a couple series where I was just half tuned in the entire time. And it honestly kind of became background noise when I was doing work in like my sophomore year,
Yeah.
because I was just powering through it. But I did manage to catch up um, just in time for the 50th, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think
And
you're right. I remember that.
I don't remember where I started watching the new series again while I was watching the old series, but it was a while before I went to Tenet and really fell in love with the modern series.
Yeah.
Um, I
That's kind of a
I
weird way to do it.
it was definitely a weird way to do it. But I think I think the season where Smith was, or where 11 was, it was leading up to the 50th. That's the first season that I watched episode by episode as it aired. So that was about
Yeah.
2013 or 14.
So
2013, obviously 50th.
Yeah, that's the same for me actually, because I think for you,
I'm the one who
I
got
was
you
aware.
interested.
Yes, I was gonna say I was vaguely aware of Doctor Who
Hmm.
before, but yeah, you started watching the show, and yeah, you're the one who turned me on to it,
Hmm.
and so I devoured all of the modern series pretty fast, and
Yep.
as you were diving into the classic series, I was finishing the modern series, and so I think maybe at some point I surpassed you in the modern series or so. I because at
Yeah,
least
easily
since
during the
the
Tenet
Core,
time
yeah,
frame or something.
yeah, and
I remember watching Waters of Mars together and Blink.
yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember because you wanted to watch Blink while we were hanging out at my house one day, and I had not gotten to Tenet yet, so I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But it's
Oh
still
yeah,
a great episode.
yeah, absolutely, and that's a good one to watch if you're even if you're unfamiliar. But yeah, because the first series I watched live was Series 7, which was yeah Matt Smith's final series.
Hmm.
That was the first one that I was all caught up, and I watched it live on BBC America every week. Um, as
For some
terrible as
reason,
that
all I
was.
remember of that right now is the Wild West episode with the horse named Susan.
Yes, yeah, that's A Town Called Mercy. See,
That's what
I've
it was.
got
Yeah.
yeah, I've got all these
I don't
episode
know
names
why.
in my head. I'm just they're waiting to they're waiting to jump out.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the weird thing. Like I do have pretty good knowledge of most franchises that I devour, like Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate. Um, you might notice a theme there. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but Doctor Who's turned into a weird one where I stopped really looking at it regularly. Maybe it's just due to the large gap between series,
yeah.
um, the lower number of episodes, but it's I've forgotten a lot about it, and or rather I'm not able to recall the information as quickly as I can with, say, Star Trek or Star Wars, which I am watching much more frequently. And so there's a weird disconnect where you will like instantly remember this creature, this like monster of the week from like Six's run, and it's like
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of that in literally a decade. But it's really cool that they're bringing back a classic monster, and I'll go read up about it later. Like I had no idea who the fuck Sotek was last
Oh,
season.
Sutek, yeah,
Sutek, yeah.
yeah,
See, I
yeah,
can't even remember the pronounce the name correctly.
yeah. Well, I mean
Um,
that's
but going episode by episode, it's just like I remember. Like I will start to remember as I'm watching, but it's actually like one of the weird franchises where I actually can't remember it as readily.
well, there's just so much of it, and
There is.
you're right. Like the gaps between the series do kind of create the fallow periods really make you kind of like you're out of like Who mode. I mean,
Hmm.
for me though, it's different because I am not a spoiler phobe like you, and so I think
That is,
a
yeah.
big difference is you've like scrubbed all of your social media of like there's no chance that you're gonna run into spoilers out in the
Right.
wild. For me, I don't care, and I actively look for them. So there's a
Well,
difference.
that's what broke me with Doctor Who, actually. Specifically Doctor Who. Like Star Wars had a really bad one about 10 years ago. But for Doctor Who, I woke up and knowing there was going to be it was the Night of the Doctor, that like 15 minutes short that they put
Yeah,
out ahead of Day of the Doctor, the 50th
with
anniversary
with
special.
Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor.
Right. But that wasn't announced before the episode aired. And so here I am waking up at like 9 a.m. Eastern time to watch this episode. Well, not necessarily to watch the episode, but I'm waking up and I knew that I would be watching this episode first thing in the morning. But the first thing I did was I checked Twitter. And I was following the Doctor Who Twitter at the time, and they just had blatantly straight up on the thing like "Welcome back, number 7," effectively. And I'm like, well, fuck, that's a giant ass spoiler for the big reveal of the episode or the mini episode,
Yeah, yeah.
and I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. And the episode was only a few hours old, so it's like, well, come on, like give us a chance to watch the fucking episode.
I remember that, and and there were a lot of people that were in your boat that were upset about that. Because
Yeah,
yeah, that was a massive spoiler. The the tricky thing though is like that's a digital short, so it's like how else are you gonna find
yeah.
out? You know, it's
No,
not. It,
I get that, but that was the point where I was like, all right, if they're going to be advertising in this manner, and I don't want to be spoiled on this stuff, I gotta scrub my feet to those potential
yeah,
sources of spoilers. And
yeah.
like I said with the Star Wars, there was an episode where, well, spoilers, for episode of Rebels, but Darth Maul dies,
Oh,
and
okay.
Star Wars put up a fucking in memoriam for Darth Maul,
Oh,
literally
that's
30
not
minutes
cool.
after the episode aired.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, yeah, it's like, what the, like, come on, like, unless you were watching it live, you would have no idea. And this was
Yeah,
past the point where people would be watching Disney XD live. So
yeah, yeah. And by the way, every time we say spoilers here, that is a Doctor Who reference. So
it's
every time we
true,
say it.
yeah.
Every time we
Spoilers.
say. Um, but anyways, so that's kind of our brief origin there. Since then, we've been watching live more or less. I jumped into the classic series. I think actually right after the 50th. I'm pretty sure. And I binged
Yeah,
I watched all of it. And Josh, like you said, there's some times where you're half watching, and because
yeah.
the classic series it's 26 seasons, and
It
there's
is campy as
still.
fuck.
Oh yeah, it's extremely campy, of course, for anyone who hasn't watched it. It's paced very different than modern television.
Mm-hmm.
So for our millennial attention span, sometimes that can pose an issue. But I mean, there's so much great stuff there, and so I think it's worth for Doctor Who fans. It's worth trudging through the slower moments. And I'm pretty sure I caught up like by almost by the time Capaldi had his first season, and yeah, since then it has just been kind of off to the races for me.
Yeah. You,
Uh,
you also listened to a bunch of audiobooks too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I dove into a lot of the audio dramas that Big Finish does, and actually, there's a period of time where I spent so much money buying uh, Doctor Who books that they put out in the '90s when the series was off air.
Hmm.
I still have that on my bookshelf here in my
Nice.
apartment. Um,
Wish I still had my Star Wars collection of that same era, but
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe one day you can get those back. But
maybe.
yeah, so since then, it's been up and down. We've had three doctors, and we'll get into them. But
Oh yeah.
uh,
Wow.
recently, the last couple years, they've been they brought back the commander in chief, Mr. Russell T Davies, to show run again. He brought back the show originally in 2005, and now he's back with first with David Tennant again, and now with Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. Um, and so
I'm never
before
gonna
we jump,
pronounce his name correctly.
well, we just do our best here. So before we get into because the Ncuti Gatwa's second season just premiered.
Hmm.
And before we get into the brand new episodes, Josh, just give me a quick, summation of your thoughts on the first Ncuti Gatwa season and Russell's return.
I liked it. I did like it a lot. I liked the new companion as well. I completely blanked on her name. I wanted to call her Rose. I'm like, no, that's not right.
Oh, Ruby.
Ruby, you're right. I was close. It started with an R.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty blonde lady.
yeah, exactly.
But no, it was a very good return to a level of camp that Doctor Who's kind of been missing since uh, uh, 11 left. Sorry, I'm much better just going off their numbers than
Yeah, yeah,
the actors' names.
that's
So
fair.
that apologies if that bothers some people, some listeners. Um, the mystery that kind of wove throughout that season, or mysteries plural, were all very interesting, and I mean even some stuff that carried over from the 60th specials with Tennant and 14. I have been continuously, as we'll get into, like mentioning some of those threads. So I think honestly, with Davis's retaking of the helm, I've tuned in a little more closely with Doctor Who, because things definitely feel a lot more connected now.
Yeah.
But they're also very campy and weird, kind of in the early reboot or new season, new series. Oh, man, I'm gonna be messing up my vocabulary here quite a bit, I think. And it does feel a lot like early 9 or even early 10, and but with a higher budget, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's yeah. There are of course similarities from his first run, but I think there's also there's a lot of new stuff, and it does seem like for better or for worse, Russell T Davies Unleashed. I mean, we have uh controversial bits like musical moments in the
I
show,
like the
and
musicals.
I do too. I think they've been done well, and I think they're a lot of fun. And it's like, why can't you do this in a show like Doctor Who? There's no reason not to.
Right. There
Um,
was a website I used to frequent quite a bit in college that, do I still have it bookmarked actually? As I where's my bookmarks? It looks like, here it is. Doctor Who TV.co.uk.
oh yeah,
Because that was a lot of the rumors and generally non-spoilerish news about Doctor Who at the time, which would have been 11's run. And they had a weekly segment or article at the time called Weird and Wonderful, which was just like how I've just described Doctor Who since. It's a
yes,
weird and wonderful show. And
absolutely.
that one phrase has definitely influenced how I view art in general, not just Doctor Who or Star Trek or anything. It's weird, but that's good.
Yeah, 100%. That's not something to run away from. And I mean, for better or for worse, the prior era, the Chibnall era of Doctor Who, which a lot of people are they dislike. And I mean, people love all have their different favorites. So there, every era is
Mm-hmm.
going to be somebody's favorite. Every era is going to be somebody's least favorite. Some are middling. To me, the Chibnall era was a mixed bag. But one thing
Yeah.
that it lost for me, especially in the beginning, was that weird and wonderful element where it's like Doctor Who should always swing for the fences and be wacky and crazy, and if you think you shouldn't do it, or if you think you're pushing it too far, that means you should go for it. That means you should try, like, and that's something that I think that previous era kind of improved on as it went along, because we ended up with Flux, which is totally insane.
Yeah.
Uh, and so yeah, I mean, just this new Disney Plus era, just like, I mean, it's kind of the wackiest and campiest that we've kind of seen
And
in the
meta.
modern era. Yeah. What was that?
It's incredible. It's been incredibly meta as well.
Yes. Oh yes, and very meta. That's a huge part, and we'll get into that. It's there's been breaking of the fourth wall by
Several
specific
times.
characters, yeah, several times in different episodes. And we'll
I
get
learned
into
what
that even more as we.
non-diegetic means.
Yes, yeah, we
A
learned
lot of Doctor Who
vocabulary.
fans learned what that phrase means,
Yes, that
apparently.
was my first experience with non-diegetic. That's in the Devil's Chord, where the Doctor seems like he can hear the incidental music in the background that, typically is only for the audience. So that
I,
is
I just,
interesting.
yeah, and I absolutely love the idea that the Doctor's been running around for 60 years, just fully aware of this musical soundtrack that he has,
I
and
know, I know.
not mentioning it to anybody.
That was in my head the entire time. What?
But that
Yeah,
also makes sense. Like, the he's a madman with a box. Of course, if he's just hearing music, you just assume he's mad.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's, and I roughly agree with your take on the first 15 season. I think it swings for the fences. It does a lot right.
Mm-hmm.
I love how it It's experimental. It doesn't always get it right every time, but that's just Doctor Who. You can't let perfect be the enemy of crazy. I think is Doctor Who's should be Doctor Who's MO.
Hmm.
And yeah, but I really enjoyed it. And so far, the second season here is off to, I mean, an even better start for me. So let's jump into this first episode, Josh, of Doctor Who, which now we're calling season 2. It's been relabeled. It's the first
Yes, this is the
was season
third
1.
reboot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, I know Moffat toyed with resetting the season numbers when Matt Smith took over, but he opted not to. And
Hmm.
so finally now with this, it's kind of like a new production, but it's still continuity wise is the same. So it's a little bit tricky. So I think Russell even said himself, you can call it season 2, series 15, or season 41 if you want. Doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, so we start off with the Robot Revolution, which is the first episode of yeah, series 15 or season 2. And yeah, it has Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, rescuing brand new companion Belinda Chandra after she's kidnapped and taken to an alien planet that happens to be named after her, Miss Belinda Chandra 1. Um, because of a pretty funny incident with one of those star certificates that you get. You can get a star named after you, and who knew that means that you actually do own that star and become the queen or king of that planet. I never knew that it actually worked that way, but I guess it does. Um, and so one thing that I forgot to mention here is that every week, pretty much, that Doctor Who is on, my friend Joshua here will live text me his
Yeah.
viewing.
Now we're finally getting to the meat of what this podcast is
Yes,
about.
now we're finding that this is actually what the podcast consists of. Um, every week, Josh, maybe the day of, maybe a few days later, he will live text his first viewing of the episode, and so I'll get like sometimes like 75 text messages in a row, and I
Well, because
can't
you
reply
you
to.
don't interrupt. You're just reading them.
I'm just reading them. Yeah, I can't reply to all of them, but I'm watching. I've been usually if I'm not like doing something else or sleeping, I'm an active participant, just viewing. I'm an active
Yeah.
viewer of it. And so this podcast, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tackle these messages and go through all of Josh's live texts.
My thought process is
Yes,
watching Doctor Who. Also trying to remember what my thought process were 2 weeks ago because we're recording a little after the season started.
we are. Yeah. So
Oops.
that's gonna there's a
So
little bit of a time differential.
before we get started, I want to grab one thing real quick from the other
Yeah,
room, just so
sure.
that I don't have to have my phone propped up against the
Yeah, no
computer
problem.
monitor. So I'll be right back. Vamp,
All
please.
right.
You're not vamping.
All right, so taking a quick break on the podcast here on the stream, you get a little bit of bonus content. We just want to pick your brains, dear listeners. What did you think of Ncuti Gatwa's first season? Please let us know your thoughts. Are you invested in the mystery? Uh, you can let us know at corruptedtvproductions@gmail.com. Please hit us up with your comments, questions, and concerns.
There
And
we
now
go.
my friend Joshua is back, and we can resume the episode.
Indeed.
All right, my friend. Let's get
All
started
right.
here. The Robot Revolution. You watched this last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago.
2 Saturdays ago,
Um,
yeah. So
yep.
coming up on 2 weeks at this point because we were recording on a Thursday. Never could get that for
Yes.
Thursdays.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good one.
So
Good
yeah,
Doctor Who.
I
Now,
guess
how
to
do you
give
want to
some
do this?
context for people,
Do you want me to read them out and you explain, or do you want it's
I'd like to give a quick explanation of my general thought process when I
yes.
text Connor. And
Yes,
it's
please
I
do.
sit
And
down.
how did you think of like what was the origin story of you're like, oh, it would be fun to just live text all my thoughts to my friend here, because it was a
I don't
brilliant. I
know.
thought that was a brilliant
I don't know how it
idea.
started. Actually, I don't remember how it started because there was a point where you were definitely watching. I think we tried to watch like roughly at the same time when the episode would come
Yeah.
out. But then I just got busier and I couldn't quite do that. Plus, you started finding ways to watch the episode as it was literally airing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I would use a VPN and use iPlayer.
yeah, and I was unable to accomplish that and would resort to other means later on. Um, oh yeah, it was usually I was recording it off BBC America, and I'd watch when I was at my parents' house or something. But yeah, no, we would just talk about the episode at the end all the time, and it just kind of spiraled into me. I would just tell you like, "Hey, I'm going to start texting you live in case you hadn't watched it yet." So you know to like, "Hey, don't look at your text messages until you watch the episode at least," because we have other group chats where there's so little that we say to each other that our other friend and co-host on another podcast, Connor Kelly, isn't allowed to see. So it's like if you can avoid looking at our personal text chat for the hour or two it'll take you to watch the episode, then here's your warning.
Yeah.
So yeah, generally I will sit down, pull the episode up on my big TV, and I will then text Connor like, "Hey, live text incoming. I'm about to watch the episode. Get ready." And then I'll just start pretty much texting my thoughts as I watch the episode, which gets a little bit of a handful if I'm also eating dinner at the time. Disney Plus is actually kind of a pain in the ass to watch Doctor Who with because there are times where I will have to pause the episode, text you, take a bite of my dinner, and then go back to the Disney Plus app to restart the episode and keep it playing. But there's always like a half second where the audio cuts out before it starts playing again properly. And if I try to rewind, it only rewinds about 2 seconds, even though it says 10. So I have to rewind again, so it'll actually rewind 10 seconds. But if I rewind too much, then it'll jump to the end of the episode. It's like it's the most annoying, buggy player.
I watch it on the Disney Plus app on my TV, and it's the commercials.
Yeah, I'm talking about the
commercials
Chromecast.
are really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I was so happy when they switched from BBC America because I hated that. BBC America had commercials cut at weird times, and they sped up the episode sometimes to fit the time slot, which fucking
sucks.
And so I do like this better, but it's still quite annoying.
Yeah.
And part of me thinks, well, maybe I should just start torrenting it again because it's, I mean, but I want to support the show, so I am subscribing to Disney Plus.
And Disney Plus actually plays really well on my Xbox until they decided that they're going to pull a Netflix, and now I can't access my family account from my Xbox. So I've been forced to go back to the Chromecast, which sucks to cast on. So yeah, I'm dealing with those issues. But the point is, I managed to text you while I'm watching the episode. I will have to pause it sometimes for some of the longer stuff, but I am kind of like watching, texting. It's not the best way to watch an episode. But I feel like I'm tuned in enough where I do pick up a lot more than what most people do. Plus having Connor as like, wait, who the fuck is this? That helps sometimes.
But to be fair, whenever you're like, oh, who is this again? Like usually by the end of the text thread, you figure it out. So
yeah, or it's like I literally can't remember their name, and they will either say it or it'll just come to me while I'm thinking about it. So
yeah, so I mean, it's a fun adventure, and now in this podcast, we invite you to take this this journey with us.
Insane train of thought.
So let's start here with the Robot Revolution. We start the episode. Josh texts 17 years ago. Awkward as fuck.
Literally just starting off with what the text is on the screen. I kind of do the text on the screen to give you an idea of where I am in the episode. And it just so happened to be the very beginning.
And so this is
And then,
obviously the scene where Alan, Belinda's old boyfriend, 17 years ago, is giving her the star certificate.
mhm.
And there's some red flags that appear with his behavior a little bit afterwards. What did you think about this scene, Josh? It was awkward as
uh,
fuck. It
it
was
was
awkward as
awkward as
fuck.
fuck. Yeah. Why are you
As
asking me what I think? It was
I
awkward
know,
as fuck.
as teen romances are.
Were they teens? I
Oh
guess
yeah,
it's kind of hard to tell with the
definitely.
actors, but
Yeah, well, because Belinda is, I think she's like our age, pretty much, or just a year or two older. So she would, yeah.
I
So
guess so. Yeah.
17 years ago.
Oh wow. Yeah. That didn't even click about what her current age is with the 17 years ago. It was just like, oh, this is in the past. It happens to be 17 years ago. And then it was just an awkward as fuck interaction between boyfriend and girlfriend, young love, just made me cringe. And then 17 years later, I guess we're back in the modern day.
Back in the modern day. Um, and I do want to point out that in the first scene there, Alan is like a little bit controlling, saying, oh, you don't wear tight clothes, blah, 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 whatever. So there's some red
Mhm.
flags. 17 years later, Josh's text is, who bit you? Check the poo.
So we're in the hospital, and we're seeing Chandra, Belinda, being a nurse, and it's just a montage of her being a nurse throughout the hospital, and it felt so much like Scrubs because it was like weird and wacky little things, and so when it's just like asking that stupid question of who bit you, I was thinking of Scrubs, and everything comes down to poo.
Yeah, I for people who don't know or aren't familiar with Scrubs, they have a very, a great musical episode
Yep.
where, yeah, they have a song called "Everything Goes Down to Poo," and I mean, in that moment in RTD2 in the new era, for all we know, they could have burst out into song. They can burst out into song at any moment. So
Mm-hmm.
I immediately knew what Josh was referencing there, because I mean Scrubs was like my great television love before Doctor Who.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, we have the music is very reminiscent of I Am the Doctor, and I love it. Um,
Yep, I
I
pick up on
think
the music very easily,
yes, Josh is.
especially.
That's one thing that I don't do. I'm not very good at picking up on the musical motifs or kind of placing them for the the references or callbacks they are, and Josh almost always
Mhm.
gets them.
Well, I was a band kid in high school, so and I played low brass, supporting brass, trombone, and so that meant I had to listen to the music all the time. It's kind of a double edged sword when I go out in public because I have to listen to uh, like the background music, even when I'm in a conversation. It's like the music's just loud enough where I could hear it, and I have to listen
Yeah.
to it. I can't turn that off, and it's been literally 10 years since I played trombone profession or semi, you know, academically
Yeah,
professionally.
that's funny. It doesn't. It's just
It's
instinctual.
ingrained in my subconscious. Um, but yeah, and I when I work on personal projects on my personal computer, sometimes when I'm working on actual work, I will pull up music. Although recent years I'm listening more to podcasts while I work, but on like career work stuff, not personal stuff. But I will pull up just soundtrack music because it's meant to be in the background. It's meant to get you excited or hyped up or just kind of be there and just be noise that you can focus on. And the Doctor Who soundtrack has been great for that. So I quickly learned some of the song titles because I want to go listen to "I Am the Doctor" from the Matt Smith era, or "Madman with a Box," or just any number of small little insert songs throughout the series, or even just listening to variations on the theme sometimes. Well, it's been a while
Yeah,
since I've done that specifically. And so there are some motifs and phrases in the music that I'll just pick up on. It's like, I know what this is from, and it's awesome. I was watching Andor last night, actually, and there were a couple parts where some music started playing in a celebration scene. I was listening to it. I was like, is this like an electro EDM rendition of the Cantina theme? It wasn't, but it was pretty fucking close.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Sometimes sometimes composers they'll like I think purposefully call back ever so subtly to different pieces
Hmm.
just to like um just to stimulate that memory almost. So I
No,
think
that's
that's
exactly what they do. Yeah,
yeah, I think a lot of
and
that's intentional.
I do like listening to some like video essays every now and then about that kind of thing, where it's like one of the big obvious examples is in the Phantom Menace, where the celebration theme at the end of the movie, where everyone's celebrating like, oh, the Droid army's defeated and the Gungans and the Naboo are like at peace. That celebration theme is Emperor Palpatine's theme, just sped up and played in a major key.
Yeah, that's
And
see, I mean these
that's
are
not
things
something
that
I would. That's not something I would be able to pick up just
uh
watching the movie. But it's those little like Easter eggs that I absolutely love.
yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And I mean Murray Gold, the composer of Doctor Who, is he's very good at doing that kind of thing. Um Next up we have the doctor just killed like a dozen people on life support,
Yeah,
which
yeah. The doctor
which is when the
in the
doctor
hospital.
yeah, he's in the hospital and he sonic screwdrivers the computer and then all the lights go out, power failure. And this has been a moment where some people didn't love this. They're like the people just died, man.
Yeah,
But hospitals have backup generators. I'm sure it was all fine.
yeah.
Relax.
It only showed the lights out for a few seconds. The generator probably kicked on right as the scene cut.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
still it's. I was still aware enough to be like, wait a minute. He just like
I know.
there's people on life support in the hospital.
Yeah, it was a very funny scene to be fair. Yeah, he's looking for Belinda, can't find her, ends up killing all of her patients. Uh, yeah, we move on to Belinda's house where the robots come and they
First off, before you
start.
read this text, I want to
Yeah,
say that house has been in like 16 different episodes. It was
yeah,
it's the same set for fucking God damn it, I'm forgetting her name.
it's Donna's
Uh,
house.
Donna's house. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Donna's house. It was I think it showed up in some of Ruby's episodes, but it's not
Uh,
explicitly her house. Um, and now it's apparently Belinda's house that she shares with
yeah.
like 5 different roommates.
Well, that's the great thing about Doctor Who. Even as much as the budget increases, they can't
Yeah,
help but
it's that
use
staircase.
their
I
old
I
tricks.
recognize it instantly now.
Yeah, yeah, I picked up on that right away as well. So yeah, we're at the Donna's house that Belinda is renting from them, I guess. And the robots are coming to kidnap her. And Josh says these robots are a mix of the emoji bots, the Jadoon, and maybe a bit of the Sladine's campiness. And you know what? I actually couldn't agree more. I think you were spot on.
Yeah. So yeah, the emoji bots were from the Capaldi era, and that's just from the faces that these Belinda Chandra bots had. The Dejun is just the way they moved and uh, the very militaristic aspect that they had. And the Slovene, they were just campy fucking robots.
Yeah, no, I mean the Slitheen were very campy. These robots don't fart, so that's a major difference. But
Yeah.
with the faces, I definitely got the emoji bot comparison there. The emoji bots, those are things that should have been a cringy concept, and it was actually executed pretty well. So this is kind of a
I don't really
funny
remember
thing, funny connection there. Josh says, "Your Majesty." They're referring to Belinda as Your Majesty, which is like what, you know. Um, the cat is still irrelevant.
that is a
Poor
direct quote from
cat.
the robots.
Poor cat, because Josh, the cat gets killed. The cat
Yeah.
gets blasted with a laser beam. We don't actually see the cat before it's blasted, but we do see the blast itself and the silhouette of the cat electrified and disintegrating.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you one thing: my girlfriend, she is a cat owner, and
Hmm.
so we're living with a cat here, and uh, I've seen online too that some people they're hypersensitive to this kind of thing, and they really did not like this scene. They really got
Yep.
up all up in arms. They're like, "Could they kill a fucking cat? Are you kidding me?" Um, because I
Yeah.
mean,
If
studies
you
have
want to piss people
proven,
off, If you want to
Studies
piss
have
people off,
proven,
kill the
yeah,
animal.
when you kill animals, people actually react even stronger than when you kill humans in
Yeah,
television.
the robots kill like 16 people throughout the episode, and
Yeah,
nobody's up in arms about that.
I know, which is very funny. I mean, understandable. These creatures
Right.
are innocent. To be fair, the scene was very funny. And I think I'm
Aside from the cat dying, yes.
and well, I'm reminded though that in the first episode of Russell's second series, which is David Tennant's first series,
Sure.
New Earth. We actually there's a cat that dies in that episode too, but
Is
it's
that the
actually
Christmas tree, Spitty Christmas tree episode?
it's the one after that. That's the Christmas special. This is the first season, New Earth, where they're in the hospital, and it's
Oh,
the cat
right.
nurses I'm talking about.
Right.
The cat nurse
Oh,
that
right.
dies. So if you wanna, maybe it's a little callback, but in both second season, first episodes, there's a cat that dies. One happens to be anthropomorphic, one happens to be not. But still.
Right. So yeah, I was
Uh,
upset about the cat, but it's a fantasy show.
yeah.
The actual cat is fine. The story cat, not so much.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? In your head, you can always say, "Oh, maybe the Doctor goes back and saves it somehow." There's always that hope in the back of your mind.
Mhm.
Next up, you got very Buck Rogers looking rocket ship.
It
Uh,
is.
how
It
how
was.
you spelled it though is Buck Roger, very Buck Roger.
Well, yeah, I'm texting as fast as I can so I don't miss anything on the episode. So there's gonna be some spelling mistakes throughout this entire fucking
Yeah,
thing.
no, you're spot on. Yeah, it's like a very 1950s, like golden era
Giant ass,
comic book, pulpy.
yeah, giant ass rocket fins sitting on its tail. The elevator coming down so that they can they get beamed up into it. It's
Yeah, yeah, it's a very classic era science fiction aesthetic, which I thought was really cool. And
Mhm.
then we get to the planet, and it's even more of that.
Yep.
And then Josh texts. He goes, "Her, what's her name?"
It's
And
like
this
it's been like 5 months. I don't remember. I didn't remember her
No, and
fucking name at the time.
that's totally. I think you're in the same boat as most viewers, honestly. Of course, you find out, or you realize yourself after watching it.
Well, keep reading because yes, I do remember who the
So,
name is, but
so
don't say it right now.
This mystery character, is Belinda's neighbor. Comes out and says, "Take care, Belinda. Bye bye," uh, and then says something like, "He won't see me." Or can't see me, whatever. Which is a fourth wall
Yeah,
break. She is talking to the viewers. She's talking to
right.
camera.
Which is she does all the fucking time.
Yes, this is the character we're talking about. The first season happens to be Ruby's neighbor, and
Yeah, so
now she's Belinda's neighbor.
it makes me wonder if maybe Belinda's just literally like downstairs from Ruby, or maybe a house over. I think they're on the other side of her house, not Ruby's. This character.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
So,
that's possible, and I don't know. I'm gonna be clear. I
or maybe she
do.
just moved.
Maybe she moved. Maybe there's something more going on. I don't know. Maybe she. I don't know. But anyways, Josh, you say you're still convinced she's Susan. So
Yes.
take me into your thought process a little bit on why you think that this character is Susan.
Okay.
And you're
So
not
for
the only
those,
one who thinks
right? Yeah. So for those who don't know, Susan is the daughter's granddaughter, the doctor's granddaughter. I said the daughter's granddaughter. Anyway, so she hasn't actually shown up in the TV series since the actress left way back in the actual like season 2 or 3. And the doctor, when she left, said that he would come back and he would see her again. And that was the first doctor.
Yeah.
There have been 14 doctors since then. He has literally lived thousands of years since then.
I mean, even more to
And
count the auxiliary doctors like the fugitive and war doctor.
right, or billions if you count Capaldi's time in
And
the confession dial.
confession dial, you got that first, yeah. Yeah, confession dial.
So I do know she came back in some of the audio dramas. But those are considered quasi-canon as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, they're not priority canon. if an
Yeah,
idea supersedes that canon, then just for a TV
yeah,
episode, then go for it. I think.
exactly. Yeah, Star Wars is kind of the same way. Movies are top tier canon. The TV series come next. They're practically the same level of canon at this point.
Yeah.
And then it comes the books. Then come the comics are like probably canon until something higher up says no. Um, let's see. So yeah, that's who Susan is, and so there's just been lots and lots of uh fucking clues pointing to this character being related to the Doctor in some way.
Yeah.
And their first appearance when in the first season, Ruby is running off to see the TARDIS or something, and the TARDIS departs, and one of the neighbors is like, "Did you see that?" And she just spikes the camera and goes, "What? You've never seen the TARDIS before?" And that was like, okay, this is a character. This is a character who knows what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, who the fuck is this? And there's only the possibilities are so narrow because there's only maybe a half dozen named Time Lords in the canon. I mean, there's plenty of Time Lords, but there's only so many, and they've slowly been pointing more and more stuff to this being Susan. So obviously, it's pretty clear that she knows what a TARDIS is. She's probably a Time Lord, almost certainly a Time Lord.
Yeah.
So, and it's someone who is familiar with the Doctor, which doesn't quite narrow it down, but it doesn't seem like it's the Master because, well, we've had Missy, and I don't know.
The Master is stuck in a tooth right now.
That's right. That the Master is stuck in a tooth because the toy maker put him in one, and somebody picked up that tooth, and I'm starting to think it may have been her because I think it was a female hand.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's probably not the Master because he's or they are occupied. The Ronnie's been thrown around a couple of times, although I don't think she's shown up since 6's era or 7's.
7's era, yeah. She's only had 2 television appearances, one in 6's era, one in 7's. She's not widely beloved, but she has been referenced in this era.
Yeah,
times,
and she's been a theory for a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, well,
so many different characters.
So Josh, for me, I follow spoilers. I'm in it.
You're in the trenches.
I'm in the trenches. Every season, Josh, somebody's like, "Oh, I think it's the Ronnie." Oh my god.
Yeah.
The season finale bad. The big bad guy is the Ronnie.
It's the Master or the Daleks every time.
Yes. But even to the point where in Capaldi's first season, when that big reveal that the Master that Missy is the Master, they actually recorded a version because it was public filming, where Missy reveals who she is. They recorded a version for the people that are watching the filming where she says she's the Ronnie, just to throw them off the scent.
Yeah. No, I like when people do that.
Yeah. So that was
make the spoilers false.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Russell's throwing a lot of red herrings out this time, because Susan.
He put a lot of red herrings last season too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everyone thought Susan Twist was going to be Susan.
Well, yes, because Susan is actually this is I think the first time in the entire modern series that Susan is referenced by name in the Devil's Court episode.
Yes,
and so. There's a lot that was pointing towards a reunion with her, and then when it didn't happen, it was a sick joke created by Sutek.
Yeah.
It seems like that's on the Doctor's mind now, and so, I mean, a reunion I think is on the cards. We'll see if it happens.
I certainly hope so.
That would be great. But I mean, if Mrs. Flood is sorry, I just gave the
you can't really dance around it. It's Mrs. Flood is the character we're talking about.
Yes. If she is Susan, why is she acting this way? What because she seems ominous of her scenes in the very last scene in the last season. She's talking to the camera as she does and says, "Oh, the Doctor's story is going to end in terror or something like that." So has she gone rogue? Is this what's going on? I've seen some theories like, oh, is she like Susan's Valier, the dark version
Ooh,
of Susan,
interesting.
something like that? Is it by
Um,
generation? I don't know. I mean, there's these are
yeah.
all wild. I mean, but
I Speaking of by generation, real quick, I'm still convinced that 16 is going to be a result of the fusion of 14 and 15, or refusion.
yeah, that would be cool.
Um, but I'm also convinced that all the talk about the end of the season being like the end of the story or things that end, I've been getting very Trenzalore feelings about that. So
Yeah, yeah, and I mean with the meta aspect, we'll get into the next episode, but there's a
yeah,
lot
we'll
to
get
be
into
said
that more.
about the real world position of the show versus what's happening in
So
the actual text.
I do want to keep going through my the thought process on Susan,
Yeah,
Mrs. Flood real quick. So we covered the Master and the Rani. For some reason, I want to throw the monk out there, just because the monk is another Time Lord who's been named, who's only showed up once during like the first Doctor's era, and it would just be cool to bring that character back, just as a like, hey. But at this point, I feel like so much time has passed that, and this character has been built up so much that the monk would be a letdown. Um, that the monk feels like something that should be like a villain, or kind of like the Toymaker was last season, like that kind of feels like
doesn't feel like a
old
season
adversary.
finale or a bit.
Yeah,
It feels like a fun like mid-season
it,
episode or something.
a mid-season Easter egg kind of episode. Yeah, exactly. So let's see, monk. Um, Jenny, the doctor's daughter,
Yeah,
uh, probably could fit the her figure if she hasn't regenerated. We know Jenny is able to regenerate a little bit at least, and like rebuild herself after she dies in her episode, and then wakes up.
yeah. That's the kind of the cliffhanger. Is we do see. I think we see her with regeneration energy, right?
Yeah. So maybe it's Jenny. But the reason I really think it's Susan is, aside from what we talked about the stories pointing to Susan making a return at some point. It's stuff she says, and it sounds like she's familiar with the Doctor. Hang on. I need to pull up a meme because that's what I'm thinking about. The other character I wanted to bring up was Ramona. I keep forgetting her name, but she is a Time Lord who spent time with the Doctor.
Romana.
Romana, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Again,
Right,
hasn't shown up since like the fifth Doctor, so. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was her
Is
as
this
another
meme?
Mr. Direct.
I think I might know the meme you're gonna pull up.
I say a meme, but it's really just like something I saved because
Is it that
it
she's
was.
wearing the companion's clothing?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because there's a theory. Because in her first appearance, she's like wearing a vest that's similar to what Rory wore in
Right.
the 60s, and then her next appearance, she's wearing like an identical outfit to what Clara wore in her last episodes. And then at the end of last season, she is wearing something that Romana wore, like a white
Ooh.
puffy coat.
So I may not have saved what I was thinking of, but it was a. I was hoping I could find the exact quote, but there's something that the first Doctor said about what kind of people they are, and then it's the scene where Mrs. Flood is in Ruby's house for some reason, like coming to help out or something, and she's like hanging up her coat and is like, "Oh, this is what we do," kind of thing. Like that's the same quote.
I think it's hide myself away. I'm always hiding myself away.
Hide yourself. Yes, it's that.
Yes.
And
well,
that's exactly the kind of like tiny little details that I've been latching onto.
Yeah.
With why I think she's Susan.
Not only is that I think a previous Doctor quote, but the 15th Doctor literally says that about Time Lords in a previous episode in this past season. So it's a direct reference. I think
that is that is at least the confirmation that she is a Time Lord. I think. Another crack theory that I thought of right as we started on this tangent. Maybe it's Rassilon.
That would be interesting. That would be insane. That's the founder of Time Lord Society. Last seen being deposed by the 12th Doctor. So he's somewhere in the universe, in exile. Unless he was killed. We don't really know. We don't exactly know what the status of all the Time Lords are. Some people think that there are rogue Time Lords out and about on other planets. Some people think that all of the Time Lords were destroyed by the death particle. We don't really know. I think that there will be a return, especially with fantasy seeping in the universe.
Yeah.
I feel like this we're primed for a big return of the Time Lords in Gallifrey, in some way. So
Right.
we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
Let's
Getting
pick
back
up
to
the
it.
pace.
Yeah, we got to pick up a little pace. I do want to say when I said take care, Belinda, bye bye was Mrs. Flood saying goodbye to Belinda. I meant to say no shocked reaction. I misspelled it a shocker reaction.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because Belinda was very like, not like, here's my neighbor who knows my name. Like, clearly they're on good terms. And it's like, why are you saying goodbye to me? Like, why are you so nonchalant about this? She's just like, kind of like whisked away, and there's no real reaction from her.
That's true, but also like, I mean, she doesn't really know what's going on. You can't, you know, like.
Yeah, it's probably some dissociation going on, but it's still
Yes,
also just like, what?
Like, I wouldn't know how to react to any of this. But anyways, next up we have a super important chase, but time for an outfit change. That's when the 15th Doctor comes. He just misses Belinda being kidnapped by the robots. Then he's in his TARDIS, seemingly in different. I think he only
in hot
his
pursuit.
jacket.
We see the TARDIS like chasing after the fucking spaceship. So he hasn't like time jump, but it's also like he looks like he's in a completely different outfit. Maybe he just took his jacket off and I missed that, but.
Well, no, I mean, but with this Doctor, this Doctor, every episode he's wearing something different.
Multiple times an episode, even.
Multiple times an episode too. Yes. So that's kind of his thing. That's his costume is no costume or every costume, which is a cool characteristic to have. But it is very funny when mid very important chase, like, oh, I think I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna run to the wardrobe real quick. What's wrong with time? We see some very weird
like, stuttering effects.
Yes, yeah, like glitches in time. Where like, what the fuck is happening?
And that's more of like the time travel aspect that we don't really get a lot of at Doctor Who. Like it's the TARDIS makes a lot of noise and they open the door and they're somewhere else. This is like you actually see shifts in time. It's kind of more like what I'd expect from Star Trek when they do a time loop episode or something like that. So I really enjoyed that. This effect.
I loved that. Yeah, I thought that was really great.
And it felt like a great way to explain a temporal fracture. Fracture, whatever the hell this was.
I feel like we haven't seen much of that kind of thing since Moffat's time, and even then it was sporadic. So this is, and
I forgot to check, but when the Doctor was like looking at his screen and was showing like the fracture, it probably wasn't. But it would have been really cool if it was the crack from the crack in time.
Yeah, it would be cool
from Smith's era. That would have been a great little Easter egg.
That would be cool. You say that's complicated things, which is
probably just quoting the Doctor there,
which is true. All praise the robots. We have Belinda now on Miss Belinda Chandra 1, and she's seeing what's going on there. There's a whole society is they are at the mercy of these robots. They and pretty much everything is named after Miss Belinda Chandra.
Yes, including the bombs.
Including the bombs. Josh pointed out Miss Belinda Chandra bombs, which is
that got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, it was very funny.
It's very like Spaceballs the movie, Spaceballs the branding kind of stuff, but on society. I found that amusing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a fun line Doctor Who should always walk, is that kind of like sci-fi but
campy
humor. Yeah.
That's actually the where I get most of my memes is from Dr. Humor, the subreddit.
Okay. Yeah.
That's MO is pronounced Mo. It's the scrubbing bot from Hawaii.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was lost on that one. Okay. And obviously,
and that's why I put in parentheses the polish bot.
You're referencing
because it's just British Mo.
Okay, yeah.
I named my Roomba Mo after that tiny
little guy. Oh, there we go.
Like.
Polish.
Yeah.
The polish bot is a fan favorite, a very cute little bugger. Catchphrase is polish, which is very similar to the Waters of Mars, where there's that the I think it's the robot that goes gadget.
I don't remember the
But
robot. In...
that's just a classic robot trope. But still.
Yeah.
Um, all right, and Josh, you say, it's an AI allegory. We've been hit over the head with it.
Yeah, this is when you start getting all the AI references throughout
Yes.
the episode. It's like, they're hitting us over the head with this to make sure that the people who watch Doctor Who and don't understand metaphors can understand what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, which is unfortunately something that, this day and age kind of needs to happen.
Yeah. So that is actually me commenting. Like, oh yeah, we're being hit over the head with it. I'm okay with it. I am fine with that. You could do if you could do a mix of blatant, like hitting people over the head with the message while also doing while also doing subtlety. I think that's a great mix, and this episode definitely does that.
I agree with that. Yeah. You say Cybermen, calling it now.
Because they started talking about like making Belinda one with the AI overlord, and
yeah,
they used some phrases that I think are generally associated with the Cybermen. I don't remember what it was, but there was something about like the process of combining her with the AI that sounded very Cybermenish to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you were right to make that prediction. I mean, I was relieved it wasn't them, but it very well could have been them.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's a 50-50 shot. Cybermen or Daleks.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about this era that's been for me refreshing is that we've seen no Daleks, no Cybermen, no Master.
We've mentioned the Daleks once or twice, I think.
Yeah, I think they've been mentioned,
but they haven't been a presence in the show, which is refreshing, like you said.
Yeah, it's a nice little break. You say calling it now. The Doctor is the designated historian.
No. Calling it now. Cybermen calling it now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you're also calling it. The Doctor is the designated historian. You were right about that as well.
Well, no, I was calling it out because he walked up. They said, bring out the designated historian, and the Doctor shows up. Yeah, no, that was like, he walked out. I was like, why is he the historian? Like, he was just chasing them. How did he get here? Turns out he's been there for 6 months.
I thought you predicted that. Then we get to this very cool concept where there's a fault glitch in the robots, a glitch in the robots where they miss every ninth word spoken, and so a very clever scene where the Doctor is kind of giving Belinda the message, and that they're planning their escape by encoding it in every ninth word spoken. That's a great scene.
Yeah, that is a great like Doctor Who. How do you trick the enemy?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's definitely a Deus Ex Machina from a storytelling point of view, but it's still great. It's clever. That's why Doctor Who is clever.
Yes, absolutely. Destroy, vaporize. We see a lot of
vaposize.
Vaposize, you're right. Their weapon effect is very reminiscent of the Dalek beam, though, and I thought the same thing actually. Where before the episode aired, like with the trailers and stuff, we saw that effect a little bit, and we saw the home planet of the robots. It kind of looked like Skaro.
It does look a bit like Skaro, especially with the color palette and the weird 1950s Jetson buildings.
Yeah, so that was kind of one of my theories. Is maybe this was like a pre-Dalek Skaro, but that didn't end up panning out.
Yeah. Be interesting to go back there again.
Yeah, no, it's a cool
story. Daleks.
Yeah,
Skaro.
It'd be a cool idea for a story. You say Polish Bot is the new K9, and immediately followed up with or not, sad face.
Because the Doctor turned him off.
Yeah, the Doctor turns him off.
He did actually sound a bit like K9 with the polish.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than time to bring a fun, cute robot on the TARDIS.
We haven't had one since Handles.
We haven't had one since in Handles in the short amount of time that he was with us, he made a huge impact. We miss him every day. R.I.P.
He had 5 minutes on screen?
Yeah, but that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
It is, yeah.
It was so emotionally affecting. I loved Handles. You say flashback to the ordained soldiers. Did you pick up this connection at all before watching?
No, the ordained soldiers are from the previous season, right?
Yes. So
the landmine episode,
boom episode.
Yeah,
where the Doctor is stuck on a landmine. amidst a war that these ordained
Right,
soldiers are
right.
fighting.
So yeah, I just was not picking up like why are they showing this soldier again? Like what's the meaning of this flashback? And that's explained later, thankfully.
Yeah.
But that was very much be like, wait, why are we seeing these people again?
Yeah, and I think you're in the same boat as a lot of people, but we'll get into it in a minute. Doctor What, which is I think that's Belinda's
Quote.
reaction, which is
Yeah, that's a
fun.
quote. I always like when someone like they dance around the Doctor Who name of the show. So
yeah, you got to subvert the expectation a little bit.
Mhm.
My favorite example of that is Bill. I think she did the best Doctor What. I think every step she subverted it. You know, her first question being on the TARDIS was, "Oh, is there a toilet?" You know, it's like a kitchen. I think she said. So I'm a big fan of the subvertation. You say nice having a nurse deal with the name this time, which I agree. I think she's immediately like when the doctor says that he's the doctor, she's like immediately skeptical of him.
Yes.
And we kind of that comes to a head at the end of the episode, but yeah, it's a very fun dynamic, and it's something that like I don't know. Martha was a doctor in training,
Right.
and there's a little bit of that there, but it didn't. It feels.
I
I think there's a difference in the way that nurses view doctors than doctors view doctors. So it's
yeah,
a cool
and I think
dynamic.
that might kind of be where Chandra's going right now. Is like she
Yeah,
feels like a more fleshed out. Um, you just said her fucking name,
Martha.
Martha. Thank you. So, and that's weird
Yeah,
to say with only 2 episodes with her, but
I know.
I see the parallels now, and hopefully she ends up in a better place
Yeah, agree. Totally agree.
story wise.
You quote the doctor, if you ask which body is best, you're going down a very dangerous path, which is
Mm-hmm.
that's a line that I liked, obviously referencing you know, could end up as eugenics, which is a
Mm-hmm.
very truly a bad dangerous path to go down.
Indeed.
So yeah, I like that line a lot, very doctory.
Yeah, me
uh
too.
you're quoting ta-da, and then 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, the rhythm of the
Time going
doctor.
sorry. Yeah, so the ta-da is the doctor holding up the like the X-ray blanket so that Chandra can
I
see,
love that. That was
Belinda
such a
can see
cool. Yeah.
like he's
You,
different.
there's this
And then the one, two,
technology
three.
which yeah is on that alien planet where the doctor holds up this X-ray blanket and you can see both the doctor's hearts beating.
Mm-hmm.
Hear them beat.
And
It's very
it does the 1 2 3 4, which whenever
the
thanks to that one fucking episode with Will Finn Tennant, um, it's like whenever I hear the 4 knocks,
I
he will
know
knock 4 times. Whenever the heartbeat comes up, it's just 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4.
it
I did
always
put that
makes you a
four
little.
times.
It puts you on edge a little bit too because you're like, where is he? Where's the master?
Yeah. Or no,
Uh,
it's just like, is the doctor about to die?
yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It'd be interesting if one of those prophecies like became cyclical. Like that, I feel like if any of the prophecies were to become cyclical, it'll be the one he will knock 4 times.
Yeah,
So
I can
that
see it. I mean,
for a Time Lord, that would be really interesting. Where it's like, yeah, you're gonna die again, and it doesn't happen every time. It's not always the reason, but every now and then, oh, it's the prophecy again.
every now and then
That's
it's
annoying.
yeah, it's the sign. It's and that even happens in
Like
Capar's,
Harbinger.
it's a harbinger, yes. Um that happens again in Clara's last episode
Mm-hmm.
when Me knocks on the TARDIS door and the 12th Doctor's like 4 knocks.
Yeah,
Is
I
it four
like that
knocks?
he's aware of it.
He's aware of it, yeah. Madman in
Always
a
four
Box, you
knocks.
say, I think, playing Slow Down, which
Yeah, that's
sounds
the
about right to me,
music bit again.
which is another great theme.
And it was
Timey
like,
Wimey,
yeah, this is when they're explaining
the fracture in
what's
time.
going on. Yeah, and it's I think he actually used the time wimey, so I was like, yeah, he said the thing.
I think it's so fucking funny because timey wimey is a phrase that Stephen Moffat wrote in Blink. That's the first time it appears, and
Mm-hmm.
this
Everyone just latched onto it.
yeah, so this and Stephen Moffat has used it a few times, but I've always felt like he's kind of like he's like doesn't want to overdo it. But since Russell's
Mm-hmm.
came back, he like loves it. You can tell.
Yeah,
It's like a fun thing to throw in
because
there for him. And
it's a campy phrase that fits perfectly with campy Doctor Who.
yeah, absolutely couldn't agree more. Yeah, the fracture in time. Hello, robots. This I think is when Belinda feels guilty about causing all this pain and sorrow and suffering because a big thing that happens in this episode is the doctor's best friend, because the doctor has been there waiting for Belinda for 6 months because of this time fracture. 6 months have passed
Hmm.
for the doctor, while only 2 hours have passed for Belinda. And so he's been there waiting to save her. He has made a friend in Sasha 55, which is part of this rebellion, um, and promised her that he would take her in the TARDIS and show her the universe. And of course, she dies, and it's
Hmm.
very sad. And that's a moment that Belinda sees, and she feels guilty. So she ends up giving herself up and saying, "Just take me, save these people." It's a good character moment. So then they are recaptured, and your follow up to this in this scene where Belinda is going to meet her fate with the AI generator as we know it. Um, you say, so if the same object meets itself, then kaboom. How has the TARDIS not exploded that way? Which is something that
Right, because they're
that they,
they're explaining they explain that this certificate that Belinda got, if it meets itself, because they figured out like the robots have the exact same uh, object, and they're like,
yeah, the
well,
same
if
object, just
the object you're
different time
holding
periods in its timeline.
exactly, so if they meet and they touch, then they explode, and it's like, all right, how's the TARDIS not done that yet? Because the TARDIS has definitely touched itself at
Yeah,
some point. The Doctor's touched himself at some point, though. I guess there's some Time
don't
Lord
get
bullshit going
don't
on
get
there.
dirty, Josh.
Um, so yeah, that was me actually just asking you a question,
I think
but or not asking you directly, but like asking aloud,
yeah. I mean, my thought is like the TARDIS has safeguards for that kind of thing. Um,
probably.
Kind of like the butterfly compensation switch that the Doctor forgot to turn on for Ruby in her first journey when she steps on the
Hmm.
butterfly. Um,
Right.
I think there's a safeguard for that kind of thing. But I do think that that's maybe signposting something for the end of the season. I think that maybe
Which I totally
there's
agree with.
yeah. I
Given my
think I
next
think
message.
something's yeah. I think something's going to be made of that. You say if he's not lying, rule one, the Doctor lies. And the
Yep.
TARDIS blows itself up this way this season. I think that's a great prediction. Um, and yeah, so let's see where we are.
Polish
Polish
bot.
Bob, Polish is yeah. So yeah, Belinda, the way she gives herself up is she turns the Polish bot back on so they can track her whereabouts.
Mm.
Um, you say, I don't think Davies has a very positive opinion of generative AI. Uh, I think that
Just a
that that
just a
is
feeling.
that is
As they walk in,
true.
yeah, as they walk into the generative AI like throne room, that's crackling electricity and giant opposing pillars and this giant like brutalist metal face with pillars of fire coming up around it randomly. It's like, I don't think he likes generative AI that much.
Yeah, and it's funny because that is obviously true, but there is a rug pull that's going to happen here.
Hmm.
Uh, you were right. You will witness events, not participate. Which I
Just a great
forget
line.
who.
That was the AI
Okay, that was the AI.
because the
Yeah.
doctor was trying to step in as like the historian and
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Yep,
Conversion. Dot dot dot. Cybermen. You're still on the Cybermen,
that was
which I think.
that was the phrasing earlier that
Yes.
was cluing me into Cybermen.
And that could have been the
So
moment. That could have been the grand Cyberman reveal. But
could have
instead
been,
of
but it
instead of
wasn't.
revealing that it's Cyberman, no, it's not Cyberman. It's Alan. And that's your that's your next text, Alan, which is yes, that is Belinda's teenage
X,
boyfriend from the beginning.
who just
Um,
disappeared one day.
yeah, yeah. He disappeared one day, and that's the funny thing. This is one of my favorite lines in the episode where I was like, I kind of been every time I think about this line, I like laugh to myself. Belinda's like, Alan, I thought you went to Margate. He goes, no, Stargate, which is so silly. It doesn't really make any sense,
Yeah,
but I thought that was really fucking funny.
I just called out Stargate because I love that show.
Yeah,
In my
yeah.
next text, I just said Stargate because nobody talks about Stargate these days, which is a shame because I watched that show about 10 years ago for the first time, and it's one of the few shows that I've actually gone and rewatched in its entirety. The
Is
others
that the
being
least
Star Trek and a couple
popular?
anime.
That's the least popular Star show. You think?
Maybe I wouldn't say least popular, but definitely least
Least relevant.
known. Yeah, no, it is surprisingly relevant actually. Um, there's a lot of it that definitely resonates even today. But it's
So next
not
up,
as
you
well recognized,
say
unfortunately.
maybe one day it'll get its due. Next up, you say ooh time loops because they're explaining. I think
How
they're
Alan got there.
yes how Alan got there. So this ends up being a bootstrap paradox here, where
Mm-hmm.
the robots they kidnap Alan, or it doesn't really even know what's first, but they
Yeah.
kidnap Alan, and Alan, you know,
Once Belinda
sends them
back.
to go kidnap Belinda to be his queen because they take Alan and say, "Oh, you're the king of this world. We will listen to
Yep.
you." The first thing he
And
does is orders
about 10
murder.
years. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the
This is
start of the
10 years
war.
before. Yes, and he starts a war. Um, and so he says, "No, go get my queen, Belinda Chandra." Um, and so they go get Belinda, and then but then on the way uh, to the planet, Belinda says, "It wasn't even I didn't even get this certificate. It was Alan. Get Alan." And so it's like, which came
While they're
first?
traversing the time fracture.
Yes, while they're traversing the time fracture. So this is very timey wimey, very very appropriately timey wimey.
Yes. Lots
Um,
of swooping.
yes, lots of swooping. Yes, which is a fun. I don't know if they've ever referred to that. That's a new word I think in Doctor Who, swoop, but it's
Yep.
very appropriate.
Definitely.
Um, you say, "Oh, an abusive relationship allegory. We've been beaten over the head with it," which is also true.
Yes.
But also, just as with the generative AI thing, I mean, it's well done in the fact that this is something that needs to be reckoned with. Especially with you reference the every ninth word thing again, but then Belinda
Well,
literally says
because it's
to
coming up again.
Alan, yes, uh, Belinda literally says to Alan, "Oh, you made a planet of the incels," which
Yes.
is something extremely relevant. And so I think it was only a matter of time before the Doctor Who references the alt right in some way. And so this is kind of a lot of the worst people that you'll see online are saying, "Oh, this is too heavy-handed. This is like, oh, you're alienating young men from the show." Like it's just a bunch of bullshit excuses. Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, this is Doctor Who. This show has always stood against this kind of thing. Um,
Exactly. Why is it so
and
heavy-handed? I wish I could ignore the allegories in my sci-fi campy
exactly, yeah.
commentary on society.
Yeah. Let me continue. Let me not question any of my bigoted or misogynist beliefs and watch a sci-fi show and not actually have to think too hard about it or about its
Right.
relevance to society. But sorry, with Russell, that's never going to happen. Thank God. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so next we have this is the grand resolution, which Belinda kind of realizes. Oh, I have the original star certificate with me.
Yep.
Alan. Oh, and we moved over the greatest reveal of all time that it's not generative AI, it's generative
It's,
Al.
yeah.
Which is really stupid. Which is this is like a thing only Russell could come up with. It's just so dumb and so funny, but it works.
It
Um,
does.
so he's like a cyborg, fucked up cyborg
Almost
ruler of
like a
this world.
cybernetic man of some sort.
Yeah, and the character design was really impressive. It was really cool.
It was a
It
good
was
costume,
cool
yeah.
looking. Yeah. And so, anyways, Belinda is walking towards him. She has the original star certificate. Uh, Alan has the current one, and she remembers, oh, if these objects touch, kaboom. And Josh sends me a. I don't even know what this GIF is from,
Penguins
but
of
it's
Madagascar?
okay. Penguins of Madagascar, going kaboom with dynamite
Yeah.
and match. So yeah, you called it. And so yeah, the two papers touch and kaboom indeed happens. Which with a little bit of help from Polishbot, who gave I think he delivered the
Final
papers
push or
to
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no,
and
he was rushing up to to help or something, and I was afraid he was going to get shot. Oh, because the robots were shooting at him. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. So then this boom does happen. Josh, you theorize. Oh, you would say, oh, this is the start of the time fracture, isn't it? Which is a good guess. I don't know if that's ever confirmed or denied, but
I don't think it is, but
and then there's this cool ass sequence that's like really trippy and colorful, where the doctor. So the boom happens. The doctor runs in and says, because his thing is like he's a Time Lord, he can endure this. Humans can't. There's this trippy sequence where it kind of goes through Belinda's life, where the doctor kind of like is intertwined with her timeline. You say, oh, it's very 70s or 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I agree. It's very much like that. I love when Doctor Who kind of does things like that, like trippy, weird things like that. I don't think we've seen something like this since Into the Dalek, Capaldi's second episode, where they're actually they are miniaturized and they are sent through a Dalek ice stock, and there's a really cool trippy sequence of them traveling through the ice stock.
I don't remember that sequence right now,
which I loved. But yeah, more of this, please. It was very, very cool. You say you needed a Time Lord to take the kaboom.
Just quoting the Doctor again.
Yeah, which is awesome. Behold, which I guess is a quote.
Behold!
Yeah. Isn't she everything?
And this is the Doctor just gushing over the TARDIS, I think.
Oh yeah. So they're saying goodbye now to the robots, who are they're actually not evil. Surprise, surprise. It was Alan that was controlling them. That was he was directing them to do evil things. So the planet is back on the right track. You say still a little bit of mystery left. Which is the Doctor and Belinda in the TARDIS now.
Yep.
The Doctor is kind of turning on his charm here, saying, "Hey, want
to come along?
Yeah, it's a time machine, so like, yeah, I can take you home, and I can take you
a
home
long way round.
Yeah, I can take you home whenever. How about we just hang out and like go on adventures?" The Doctor, he's sad about Sasha 55. He's still down about Ruby parting ways with him. He needs a friend here. Unfortunately, Belinda, that's not really what she wants right now. She wants to get back to work. She has a whole life. She is a grown woman with a life and responsibilities and family. She's not an 18-year-old like Ruby, who is doe-eyed and will eat up this Doctor's charisma and charm and run away with him. So that this catches the Doctor off guard. You quote her, "Solve your mystery after you take me home. She doesn't know what's in store, LOL." Very true. You say, "Oh,
that's never how this goes in Doctor Who."
No, yeah, I know. Yeah, they're usually gung ho. Oh no, this is ridiculous.
Oh no, they never go home. They never go right home.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. She doesn't realize that. That's all.
She's in for a trip.
Yeah. Then this connection is made. Oh, the ordained soldier is her descendant. The Doctor scans her DNA. It makes that connection. Oh wow, I met your descendant, Mundy Flynn, from the Boom episode from the previous season. So that's really strange. What a coincidence. Josh, you say, is that supposed to be a coincidence? And so the Doctor is like saying all this, these things like, oh, it's fate, it's destiny. We have to figure this out.
Yeah, I think that was partly because we've seen like two other characters from the last season who just their faces kept showing up again. So I was wondering if like, is it a coincidence that's the same actress, or that they're the same face? It was just a weird thing.
Yeah, so. And I think the Doctor seems to think that there is more to this coincidence and wants to get to the bottom of it. I think largely he's just using that as an excuse because he wants a companion. But Belinda doesn't. She sees right through him, which is such a different vibe to Ruby, where they were just best friends from the go. There was no tension, which is fine. Like they had great chemistry, but there wasn't that tension. So then you say, is that what you say to all the girls? Is that what you said to Sasha? which that cuts deep. That
Yeah,
cuts
this is
deep.
me just quoting them now because
Yeah.
it's interesting stuff. So
And then she says, "You tested my DNA without permission. You're dangerous." Which
mhm.
is any fucking reasonable person would agree with that. Like that's and here's the thing, like she's a nurse, she's a medical professional. Consent in the medical field is like a hugely important thing.
Mhm.
um and so she's like, this is like what the fuck, you're calling yourself a doctor but you're like you just test my DNA
Flouting,
willy-nilly.
yeah, flouting confidentiality stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's red flags right away for her. She's like, this is
Yep.
not okay. You say, oh, she sees through his BS. That's really cool. I agree. um Let's see. Oh, this is a cool text. You say, also, I saw a video like 2 days ago pointing out how in 3,000 years, you'd either be related to nobody or everybody, no in between. And that, I think,
Yeah,
is
it
the
was like a.
exact, isn't that the exact amount of time between
I think so. It's
Linda
about
and her
3,000
descendant?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a Minute Earth video, and it literally had come out like 2 days before this episode aired. And it's like, yeah, everyone 3,000 years ago, you're they either like their bloodline died out or you're related to them. And then 3,000 years from now, either your bloodline's going to die out or you're related to everybody.
Yeah. And so,
So,
I
and
mean,
it's some rough statistical math, but it's an interesting thought
so
at the very
is
least.
this like not scientifically possible that one of Belinda's descendants would be such a strong DNA match to her? Is that the thing? Or so is it
It's more of like it calling anybody her descendant is just kind of like, well, if she's if
everyone's
she's
her descendant at
yeah,
this point?
everyone's going to be her descendant at that point to some degree, but clearly this descendant in particular is much more like direct
Yeah.
or like has a lot of the same genetic markers. So yeah,
So yeah, no, it's a very interesting thing. We'll see if there's any. I don't know. Do you think it's a? Do you think there's anything weird going on there? Do you think it's just a massive coincidence? What's your take?
I'm currently in the coincidence camp, but if more evidence piles up to the contrary, I will follow that thread.
Yeah, the funny thing to me is that it doesn't seem like an Impossible Girl situation where
No, it doesn't.
Sarah popped up in different points in the Doctor's timeline. Um, And I also want to make a note that if this was Matt Smith, if this was the 11th Doctor that was dealing with this, he wouldn't tell her that he scanned her DNA. He would do it in secret and
Yep.
look at the results in secret, and he would be very mysterious. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is, even though this is an example of the Doctor not doing something right, this is also an example of like his growth as a character. Like
That's a good point. Yeah.
he's out in the open. He's being uh real with his companion. He doesn't realize what he's doing. So I mean, and then immediately she calls him out on it, and he does admit. He admits, he says sorry, that was unacceptable. You can see he's kind of like taken aback because no one's ever
Oh
really
yeah.
said that to him before.
Can we
It's
actually take
great,
a quick
great
like 2 minute
acting.
break?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
We'll we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Hoodoos.
Yeah. Sorry. I was waiting, trying to wait to the end of the episode, but I
No, you're all
really gotta
good.
go.
You're all good.
Sorry.
All right. I think we're just gonna do this episode, and then we'll maybe in a day or two we can do the Lux. Is that cool with you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm
I
not
gotta eat and
available.
do things.
Yeah, I do
I
too,
just
and I'm
I
not
got
available
over
tomorrow.
ambitious.
So
I got over
that's fine.
ambitious
Yeah,
with the
we got a little sidetracked at the beginning of
yeah,
this
which is
episode. I
okay.
think next time we'll go faster.
Yeah, it's been fun. All right, cool. Let's jump back into it.
Yeah, there.
All right, and we are back. Okay. Where were we? Yeah, so there's that whole scene between Belinda and the doctor. I was just saying that I thought it was really a great scene between the two leads. I thought they just both of them are just they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think this kind of made me think like, and I feel like Shooty just gets better as he goes. I think he feels like he's really coming into the role. Not that he wasn't before, but this I feel like he's like really owning it now.
Yeah.
And I love the dynamic between Belinda and the Doctor. It's just refreshing. There hasn't really been tension between companions and the Doctor since before the Chibnall era. Really, I mean, a little bit in between
Yeah.
Jodie, between 13 and Yaz, but
That wasn't
it's been
exactly
a
a. That was a different kind of tension. I feel like.
yeah. So it was a nice refresh. It was a refreshing moment. Next up, you
Mm-hmm.
say, the TARDIS is doing the thing where it doesn't go where they when they want, uh, which is true and something that the TARDIS does do from time to time.
Go back to
This,
my comment about like, oh, she has no idea what's coming. It's like, sure enough,
yeah,
like
yeah,
clockwork, the TARDIS doesn't go where they want it to go.
exactly. But this seems to be a bit more involved. You say it also sounds weird. It's not the time fracture, which is what the Doctor
Mm-hmm.
says. I don't know how confident he is in that, but he seems to know what he's talking about.
Well, the time
Uh,
factor seems to be been closed at this point,
yes,
so that's kind of
I
how I
think it was
interpreted those
I think it was
comments.
closed. I think it was closed when the Doctor jumped in and went all timey wimey.
Exactly.
You say, I don't know what this is. Uh-oh. I think that's what he
I
says.
think I
That's what the
think the
Doctor
doctor
says.
says, I don't know what this is. I think I added the uh-oh.
Yeah, he doesn't say uh-oh. That was you. You say the cloister, which I guess the cloister bell was ringing, which
I
is what
think so.
happens. That's what happens when the TARDIS is afraid or something bad's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and another quote, it might be the long way round, but hold on tight. That's another Moffatism, the long way around, that I love when they bring back. Um, and so the idea here is that Belinda she's trying to get back to May 24th for her
2025.
7:30 for her 7 oh yeah, I guess May 25th or 24th.
2025.
Oh yeah,
I'm
May
saying I'm adding a
24th.
year.
Yes, May 24th, 2025. You're right. For her 7:30 a.m. shift. She wants to get back. The TARDIS it's not taking them there. There's a block. Something is all out of sorts. Belinda is stuck with this madman in a box. And so they end up apparating in just an open space. They look out. They're like, "Oh, that's not Earth." The Doctor's like, "All right, well, I'll get you there. Don't worry, I'll get you there. It might be the long way around." But obviously, Belinda she's worried because she didn't sign up for this. She did not.
Nope.
She's not ready for action here. They close the door, and then Josh, you text me. You say London cab, Eiffel Tower, Statue of Liberty's head, one of the pyramids of Giza, and a calendar of May 2025. Which is these are all things that are floating through space as they close the
Depart.
TARDIS door. They take off.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I get the
so
impression they didn't actually see these items. It's just when the camera pulls back after the TARDIS disappears, I feel like these just kind
yeah,
of they just floated the frame. So I don't know if they actually saw these items.
I have
Also,
the picture.
it's a very these items. There's no way these items would be close to each other, just floating randomly in space. It's like the Earth disappeared, a la the Vogons showed up and demolished it. It's
Yeah,
uh, it's just a bunch of random eye-catching stuff that's meant to be like the entire world is destroyed. Here's all the stuff
Yeah.
from the world, all around the world, and that's just a thing for the camera, but it's still kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a shorthand for you to realize, oh well, the world is gone now.
Right.
It's in pieces. Random artifacts are floating through space. All these landmarks, we see these landmarks.
Yeah, when in reality it would just be a bunch of asteroids, kind of like Alderaan, if that had happened.
Unless the Earth isn't gone, but somebody went and ransacked all of the most famous landmarks and just tossed them out into space.
Yeah, I mean, who could forget the famous Black London cab, singular London cab,
Yeah, look at one London cab.
and that one calendar of next month?
Yeah, I know that's very funny. But then Josh, you followed up. You say we're fucked next month, aren't we? And
Yeah.
the real world answer to that is actually yes, but not
Yes.
but not for sci-fi reasons.
Nope.
Yeah. So this is the cliffhanger they leave us on.
Yeah, so that's the end of the episode, and then I
Yeah.
start commenting on the credits and the after credit scene, or the next time scene.
Next time, the movies are empty. The cartoon is alive, which we will get into on the next episode.
Hopefully a little faster, but we had a lot to start with today.
Well, I think it'll be more streamlined because we don't have to give our backgrounds. We can just kind of jump into the meat of it.
And we already covered our theories on Mrs. Flood, so
Yeah, exactly. Quickly to finish it up, I'll get your reactions quickly. The fallout of your watching session.
Right. Well, first of all, there's one more about the actual episode.
Yes. Well, like always, you call out the middle 8 of the theme song in the credit sequence, which is
Yes.
your favorite part. And I
Yes.
I
It was
I
left
love
out for
it.
years. Yeah, it was left out for years in the end credits, and so when it came back, it's such a very triumphant phrase in the song, and I just absolutely love it, especially in
middle eight's awesome.
the Tenet era when it's the heavy brass. I really like that rendition of it, but it's this version of the theme that they're using right now. It's also really good.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the soundtrack. Murray Gold, he's back and he is kicking ass.
Mhm.
So just some final notes for you. You say, well, I was wrong about the Cybermen, but the Incel AI connection was some pretty spot on commentary. Very true. Belinda seems like she'll be a good companion. She's smart and isn't having any of the Doctor's bullshit. Should be a fun dynamic. I think we've mirrored
Yep.
that already. We've already mentioned that you're 100% correct there. You say, I'm already wondering if that cartoon character is one of those reality benders, like the toy maker in the Maestro. If so, that should be a fun episode.
We know the answer to that now.
We do, but we'll save that for the next episode.
Yep. Also, I completely forgot about like the Pantheon stuff that they've been talking about.
Yeah,
Because this was the first episode I'd watched since Christmas, where none of that was covered. So it's really like the first episode in about 8 months where I had to remember what the fuck the plot was.
yeah, which is totally fair. That was a good prediction. You will lament no new chairs in the TARDIS. Just look back at my Christmas remarks. Josh, this was one thing for me too. I was bummed out. There should have been the chair from the hotel room.
Yeah.
One of Anita's chairs should have been in the TARDIS as a reminder. That would have been really, really nice.
Yeah. So yeah, for that one, I had just literally gone back up our text chain. Like, all right, what the fuck was going on? I think this is me trying to find the stuff about the toy maker and the Maestro, what they were called, and
Yeah.
I forgot there was a Christmas episode, and it's like, oh, now that I'm rereading it, why the fuck wasn't there any new chairs in the TARDIS?
I know. I think hopefully eventually we get some. I don't know. Maybe he's forgotten.
Yeah.
his,
So maybe. So yeah, the rest of these texts are me going through the old texts from last season and the Christmas episode, just trying to refresh my memory real quick. And so it's like, oh, now I remember Mrs. Flood. Oh, now I clocked this other little detail that I was picking up on quite a bit in the first season. So
Yeah.
if you want to go through this
yeah.
real quick.
So this is Josh's big revelation here. He says, "Oh, Mrs. Flood, that's her name. Definitely a Time Lord hiding out. Hoping it's Susan." So like I said, usually
We covered that
Josh
pretty
will,
extensively.
yeah. Usually Josh will figure out he'll put the pieces together by going through his old texts and his
Yeah,
memories.
this is like it's half a like text message to you and half of like it's now like notes for myself as I
Yeah,
go back and read
exactly.
some of them.
Yeah, it's pulling double duty. The final text here is, oh, and I didn't fully clock it, but the doctor called Al boss at one point. But given how the rest of the episode played out, I don't think he was the boss that the Meep was referring to. I I agree. I didn't even pick up on that, but you're right. He does call him boss,
Yep.
kind of haphazardly, casually. Um,
There's a good chance that the boss the Meep was referring to may have been the toy maker, but it's never explicitly said. And I get the feeling in this season that it's something that will explicitly be told to us. Like this is
yeah,
the boss. So I'm interested to see what the boss ends up being.
yeah, me too. My thought on it is the meep prefers the meep's like, oh, the doctor, another creature with two hearts, the boss is going to be very interested in this, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's an ominous warning, and then in the episode of Rogue in the following season, the character Rogue says, oh, the new boss has me doing so much paperwork. I think that's the same boss. I do.
I think
um
so too. Yeah.
but
For those who aren't aware, the Meep was from the first 14 special in the 60th
yes,
anniversary.
yeah, the Star Beast,
Um,
yep.
yep, Starbeast. Thank you.
Yeah, and so that's, and I mean, I would also like the Meep to come back because the Meep is the Meep's a great character, a great cute little character,
Fun little
cute,
like ET
yeah,
wannabe.
cute and deadly. Josh, we're at the end of the episode here. Any final thoughts on the Robot Revolution? I know we there's some predictions we have. I'm sure, not going into the second episode, which we've already seen. Any
Right.
thoughts on the arc of the season, or final thoughts on the Robot Revolution?
I'm not really sure I have a clear picture on what the arc of the episode of the season's going to be at this point. Last season was very clear, like, oh, we're going to get into Ruby's backstory,
Yeah,
and we're going to figure some stuff out with the toy maker, I guess. Um, but this one is not quite clear yet because the next episode, I mean, it's clearly we're going to get Chandra home at some point.
yeah.
Belinda, I don't know why I keep calling her by her last name.
Well, it's okay. It works.
Um, so I don't know. I can't really say where I think the season itself is going to go, but the episode was definitely a strong first episode for any season.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
continues plot lines. It introduces a new companion quite well. Everyone felt like they had a lot to do, and it was fun.
It was fun, and it was what Doctor Who should be. It was weird and wonderful.
Exactly,
Yeah, it was awesome.
exactly.
Um, and yeah, I think for the arc, I think it's. I get the impression it'll be mainly whatever Mrs. Flood is up to, and
I hope so.
getting Belinda home. And maybe those things are connected. We'll see. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um,
Maybe Mrs. Flood is Belinda.
maybe Belinda regenerates into Mrs. Flood.
Also, another crack theory I thought of was River as Mrs.
Oh
Flood,
yeah,
but that doesn't
yeah.
make sense because River was digitized.
She
So,
was, but what if she bi-generated before she was digitized?
I don't know.
It's probably not going to happen.
Like I
But
said,
you never
crack
know.
theory.
With these things, yeah, we'll go through all of our crackpot theories in the future. But folks, thanks for listening. Next episode, we will be covering the second episode of the season of Lux, and we will be from there on out every week.
Hopefully,
Uh,
yeah, hopefully episode by episode, and then
yeah,
maybe after the season, if we like how this is going, we'll go back to season one and go through those text messages. We'll have to dig through
yeah,
our text chat a bit, but
absolutely, yeah. Um, And if you like what you hear, we do. There's a couple other podcasts we do. One with myself, Josh, and our other best friend Connor Kelly. It's called Chapter Chumps, where we read books together. It's a little book club. Currently
yep,
going through The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. We are nearing the
we're
end of that.
mhm.
But it's been a ride, and we also we read 2001: A Space Odyssey, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There's
The
a
Lord of the
lot.
Rings saga.
Lord of the Rings saga is the big one. So if you're into fiction, check it out. Check it out. Fiction and three guys goofing around. That's pretty
Yep.
much what that podcast is. Also, I do a podcast about Green Day called Green Dudes with with Connor Kelly as well. So if you're into that, check it out. You can find all that and more on corrupttv.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, email us at corrupttvproductions@gmail.com. And most importantly, folks, until next time,
Stay weird and wonderful.
hell yeah.
Crap, I'm in charge of that now, am I?
Hell yeah, that was a good one. All right, see you guys later. And stream is over.
Nice. We actually